You guys know the drill. A Jujutsu Kaisen episode releases and I make a video on it almost instantly, like a starving animal. An animal starving for views. Anyways, some guy is complaining about how long Hikari and his femboy are cracking each other because he wants to go home. So luckily for him, Megumi attempts to aura form by awkwardly standing behind him like that one SpongeBob picture, and then Megumi puts bro out of his misery. While Megumi is bodying the goon, Panda's playing with a tire. The goons know he's a WWE wrestler, so it's fine. They even give him a free glizzy in the house. So Panda thanks them by bodying them as well. This guy is so adorable, no homo. He walks up the emergency stairs because there's no security cameras and meets up with Potential Man. They coincidentally bump into Kirara. This is where she realizes Panda is a rat and speed dials Hikari. The POV then goes back to that time when Hikari encountered the only sorcerer who doesn't know who Gojo is, and currently Megumi and Panda are jumping a femboy. Potential Man unleashes his big dogs on Kirara, but she repels them with her ability that we still don't understand, and we won't by the end of this video either. Listen, I'll try my best to explain her ability as the fight plays out, but I'm not gonna get too performative about it. She already marked Panda with a tramp stamp, so he's not able to close the distance between them, and she's not gonna reason with these guys until they slime her realistically. Megumi sends big dogs in front of Kirara, so now she can't move back or forth at the moment because she has a phobia of dogs. Now that she's paralyzed, Megumi explains that they need her help with the Culling Games because Gojo got sealed, and her face says it all. She doesn't believe the strongest sorcerer of today got slimed. Megumi's ran out of ideas, so he starts doing party tricks. You know you've gotten backed into a wall when you have to rely on the rabbit that survived a 1v1 with the Toji Fushiguro. When the fodder rabbits disintegrate, Megumi clocks that they have tramp stamps on them as well. I just know these mappa animators probably didn't see their families for days just to animate Megumi's abs. They might be gooners. First they craft Toji's veiny foot in the lab, and now they do this. The proof's all around us. Megumi noticed the words on the tattoos are constellations, so he guesses out loud that Kirara's ability has to do with the Southern Cross, and she instantly gives it away because she has no poker face. If Megumi potentially figures out more of her ability, then he could break into Hikari's goon cave. The Southern Cross is a 4-star constellation, and Megumi confirms this with Panda. Panda says it's in the name. It's a cross, so of course it is. That's like asking someone if they should eat food if they are hungry. I just needed to include this part in the video because it's important to maintain the agenda. And I can't lie, listening to Megumi and Panda Senpai discuss their theories on what Kirara's ability actually is was genuinely too smart for me. If someone can explain her ability to me in the comments, then I'll write a poem for you. Mappa! Make a Kirara's ability in 3 minutes video. My life is yours! Panda thinks Kirara's ability works like rock, paper, scissors, so she's the star in all situations, and she can mark 4 points, like Panda and Megumi for example, and those 4 points have different strengths and weaknesses, which is why Megumi and Panda can stand next to each other, but they can't stand next to Kirara. It's also why only Megumi's dogs and rabbits would get thrown back at him. It's not looking good for Kirara. If Panda and Megumi fulfill one more condition, then they've won. Megumi's theory is that Kirara's ability is like a stamp rally. If all the 4 points of the cross are in the correct order, then they should be able to pass Kirara. Panda tries to force a 6-7 joke by saying, what if there's 6 or 7 stars? And this just had to be intentional. Kirara needs to lock in, so she chucks a car towards the duo. Now Megumi's getting PTSD from his playdate with Daddy Fushiguro. It's at times like these where I'm enjoying what I'm seeing, but I'm low-key wondering what is going on. I think to myself how similar Jujutsu Kaisen feels to Hunter x Hunter. I know people compare it to Naruto or even Bleach, and I don't blame them, especially after Megumi and Itadori were cosplaying Naruto and Sasuke last episode. But Gege clearly gets the same enjoyment Togashi has for creating a complex ability and using it to cook a goated fight. While Megumi is looking for the star, Panda forgets to use his brain and throws the car away, which makes it fly back into him. Kirara can only do this repelling stuff to things she's tagged with cursed energy. When she tagged Megumi's dogs, that allowed her to mock Megumi himself. Panda is currently soaring through the sky, and this would be a fire album cover. While he's in his own world, Megumi is racing towards this headlight because it's an object that doesn't have any traces of cursed energy on it at the moment. He glazes Megumi because he's cooking, so he thanks her by throwing Toji's owner into the sky, and then Panda passes John Rabbit downtown so he can pull off a one-armed handstand. That was so tough. It takes humans years to master that move, but he pulled it off in seconds. No wonder it's so strong after Megumi infused it with all his potential, man. John Rabbit's performance distracted Kirara enough for the formation to change, so she panics and throws the car at Megumi again, but Megumi was waiting for her to blunder again so he could throw his dogs at her, and it worked this time. I'm just saying, if John Kaisen was here, then he'd have been in Hikari's goon cave before the opening started playing in this episode. Have you seen his highlight reel? This is a true legend. We can even go deeper into the rabbit hole. You can hate on me all you want, but I honestly think Maki would be dead by now if John Zenin was present during the massacre. Luckily for her, he was out grocery shopping. It's crazy how the animation's still cooking in one of the more tame episodes. Megumi goes for cover in the cursed mobile and he genuinely catches Kirara. That's an impressive victory. What have you Megumi haters got to say about him now? I've been backing bro since before I was even born. I totally wasn't speaking negatively about him a couple minutes ago. Damn, this burning car animation is fire. Megumi starts getting all performative and starts begging for her to hear him out. Like, bro, you beat her. Just force her to join you. This isn't gonna stop the haters from calling you a top 3 Jujutsu Kaisen fraud. The boyfriends decide to take this fight outside and warn their girlfriends to stay out of it. Hikari's currently aura farming with his wife beater on, and it's crazy to think he used to look like a solid 5 out of 10 just a while ago. What a glow up. Itadori's in his I have no enemies off, so he plans on tanking all of Hikari's hits and negotiating with him at the same time. And Hikari is willing to hear him out as long as he survives the punches. Before we continue, I just need to let the people know that if you signed the petition to get Hikari's theme changed to that Brazilian funk song, then you are a cornball. Itadori explains that he needs Hikari to join because his seniors said he's strong, but that flattery doesn't change the fact that he's practically asking a stranger to risk his life for him here. Itadori then has another one of his depressive episodes and explains he doesn't have any ambitions, but he's just a cog in a machine and how his role is to kill curses. So Hikari's disappointed about Itadori's answer because that's how losers think. So he finishes him off. Sea Urchin Head tells Panda to grab Itadori and get out of here, but then Itadori uses the anti-Hikari punching technique. I haven't seen that since the Heian era. While Hikari's shocked by this, Itadori asks him what his function is as a cog in a machine, and Kirara helps everyone out by pointing out that Hikari's passion is burning right now, so he can't play bad cop anymore and they'll negotiate now. It seems like Megumi's performative maxing worked out. Hikari's passion always burned the hottest when he was helping his fellow Jujutsu sorcerers. Now a random creature appears out of thin air to confirm a player has added a new rule to the Culling Games. The new rule lets players view certain information about other players, and the one who created this rule was Kashimo. I've heard a lot of things about this guy. He has his fair share of glazers. A little birdie told me he was the strongest in his era 400 years ago. And there's an upcoming fight which involves him, but I'm extremely excited to watch. I mean, the fact that he already Swiss cheesed enough players to create a rule is pretty impressive, and it looks like he wants to beef with Sukuna. Kenjaku turns into an underage girl sleep paralysis monster and apologizes that her hometown is being used as the center of the barrier for the Culling Games. He offers her the opportunity to join the Culling Games, and if she rejects the offer, then she'll just wake up outside the barrier. At first, I thought he was about to take over her, but surprisingly, he wasn't in freak mode today. Kenjaku says thank you for saving my son, and then gets replaced with other pedestrians. At first I couldn't tell you what he meant by that, but then my dumbass realized that he was talking about Itadori. Itadori is Kenjaku's son. I can't read. The girl talks to a guy she knows as they stare at the barrier, and it turns out they all have similar dreams. But then the girl brings up Itadori for some reason. The weekly fever dream portion of the episode is over, so Hikari's just as dumbfounded as Kirara was when she found out Gojo got sealed. Panda then confirms the principal died after he cursed the higher-ups, and naturally Hikari is bummed by this news. He hasn't been this sad since he saw Yakul get shot in the cheeks with an arrow. Apologies if my voice sounds a bit crazy in this video. I'm super ill, but I'm so dedicated that I'm gonna power through. I guess Hikari can't relate to the rest of us in the real world who had the misfortune of witnessing Clavicular get brain mogged by the ASU frat leader. Hikari will help them stop the Culling Games, and in exchange they'll help him get some changes to the Jujutsu regulations. And this this sea urchin head really has the audacity to call potential man a sea urchin head, but Megumi is not a sea urchin head anymore. It's Fushiguro now. And on a serious note, he's the head of the Zenin clan, so Hikari's request is light work for him. It's so funny how Hikari is glazing Megumi now, but he doesn't realize Megumi is genuinely still a bum because Maki pulled an Itachi this afternoon, so being a Zenin means nothing. So the gang's elaborate plan kind of went over my head again, but I'll explain it to the best of my ability. The show just makes me feel so dumb sometimes. But then I remember it's okay because Hikari and Itadori exist. They're gonna track Kashimo and peer pressure him into making a rule so players can exchange points with each other, and they're also gonna create another rule so that players can use points to leave the game. They also need to locate Angel at the same time. She's probably in the game under a different name like Itadori's situation, but it's okay because apparently they'll know Angel when they see her. Hikari and Panda will go to Colony 1 so Panda can hunt Angel and Hikari can have the best fight of the season against Kashimo. And Itadori and Megumi will go to Colony 2 and Kirara is getting benched because she lost to a fraud. Yuta hasn't called anyone yet, so there's probably no signal inside the barriers. After Itadori and his girlfriend have a lovers spat over how Itadori is so overprotective, they make up because it's Valentine's Day and now everyone's aura forming as they enter the barriers. Denji from Chainsaw Man is getting verbally abused by an older woman who has a core engine for her on a walkie-talkie because he hasn't found anyone to stream snipe yet, and Itadori's pretending what Megumi is saying is important and that he agrees, but Megumi should explain to us again, be using that sentence from now on for the rest of the season. Basically, Itadori should be wary of those sorcerers that are over a couple hundred years old, should be on a retirement homes already, because they're playing football with their lives on the line, so it's going to be hard to negotiate. I've got to admit that Kogane is pretty cute, but he has nothing on Panda-san, as we all know. After all, Kogane could never fulfill the parkour prophecy like our goat Panda. Oh, wait a minute, why is that disgusting vermin asking Megumi if he wants a breakdown of the rules? No, don't do it, you're gonna turn my video into a 60-minute documentary again. Speaking of again, you can get an almost accurate breakdown of the Culling Game's rules if you watch my previous Jujutsu Kaisen video. Okay, enough plugging. After Itadori and Megumi thank the bus driver, Megumi lands in risky reels and Itadori goes tilted towers because he wants the smoke. And this is where the spawn campers come into play. The lady with the built-in RS3 engine smashes Itadori through a couple buildings, but this is an average Tuesday for him, so he just chucks something at her and boom, she's eliminated. I can sense that Itadori is gonna drop a 20 bomb. The duo witnesses Itadori teabagging her, and we'll get to that, but for some reason Denji knows who Itadori is as well. I have a good idea of what's going on here, but I'll save that for later in the video. Megumi won another fight and surprise, surprise, it's another woman. This guy is still a fraud. He's just been stat padding against pole dancers. It's crazy how desperate Valentine's Day has people, to the point where you're willing to dress yourself up and run into a battle royale so that you can flirt with some glorified serial killers. While Megumi is getting the whereabouts of Higurama, Itadori does some parkour and then chucks this guy into a room so they can box. And it turns out that this guy has a propeller head. Another prophecy has been fulfilled. This guy's gender is an attack helicopter. Itadori and the helicopter are going in circles as the fight goes outside again, so he brings the fight indoors, but bro keeps spamming his propeller, so Itadori punches his head, and that's the end of that. It's gonna take more than a propeller to break Itadori's hand, so he just ends the fight by kneeing the attack helicopter's family jewels. The lady's still trying to seduce potential man, but he just replies, sure, fine. And now that's her night. This nonchalant act is getting out of hand, as Itadori is asking the helicopter about Higurama's whereabouts while jiggling his balls. Denji introduces himself. Denji knows Itadori because they are from the same area, and Itadori's always been a big deal. That girl at the start of the episode also knew Itadori, so I'm guessing the barrier took over Itadori's home area. Denji was the helicopter parent's gopher, so Itadori inadvertently helped him, so he'll tell Itadori where Higurama is. Same time this is happening, Megumi threatens to kill the lady if she lies, so Denji and her both give their answers and said Higurama's in 2 different locations. I think the imposter is Denji, because if it was the girl then that would be too obvious. It's time for the moment we've all been waiting for, Higurama's introduction. After a brief moment where he's chilling in a bathtub, we get his backstory so we can understand why he's behaving like a crackhead. He's talking to someone in prison who we'll call Joey, and Joey's here because he ran away from cops, because if they catch him then his cat's cooked because his apartment doesn't allow pets. This was a bad coincidence because a family got murdered recently, so now he's a prime suspect. And when the cops raided Joey's house, they found a knife in his bin with the family's DNA. The only good thing about that raid was that the cat cleared the stealth mission. Joey continues to deny he was in the files, and he only picked up the knife because he was gonna turn it in later. So Higurama's looking into Joey's situation and sees he works in a retirement home, and they have some sketchy rules like you can't call cop calls or ambulances because they'll disrupt neighbors. So Higurama will dig deep into this matter, and his assistant Shimizu can take care of the root cause of all these problems. As you can imagine, this type of work is low paid despite how much work it takes, so you gotta do this for the love of the game. In the past, Higurama took a case for someone who got coerced into drink driving by his co-workers, and unfortunately he couldn't get off free, but he did get him a smaller sentence. That didn't stop the guy from crashing out at Higurama, who did his best. But when you're at your lowest, that happens, so he gets it. But even Higurama has his limits. There's only so much abuse he can take. Just look at bro's eyes. I don't think I've ever seen him blink. He's one more failed trial away from turning into the next Jayoma. Joey was found guilty after the first trial, but didn't really mean much yet because they'll reappeal for a second trial. There was CCTV evidence that found Joey in a store at the time of the crime, which helped in this case. Joey's mainly thanking Higurama for believing in him, but will Joey keep the same energy when he gets a life sentence in the second trial? The justice system is very unfair. The opposition literally won the judge over by just a maxim. They didn't even provide any further evidence with the huge budget they have. Not gonna lie, this episode is making me want to quit everything and pursue a career in being a lawyer. I'd be a household name like Saul Goodman. It's gonna happen. Most fair trials don't ever have a different conclusion, let alone even get to this stage, so bro was cooked from the get-go. Blah! Why is this eye straight from JoJo's glaring at me? Oh, it's Joey. Kinda looks like Connie now that I think about it. I think him staring at big Higurama right here may have been his 13th reason why. And bro was having none of it, so he starts throwing a tantrum by whacking his hammer all willy-nilly non-stop, and then this summons speed for the retrial. Higurama has to be the first person ever to get so fed up to the point where he just creates a domain expansion without any prior cursed energy training. I wonder if Speed is a fan of Higurama because these two emotes are uncanny. Bear in mind, all everyone else saw was a normal ass guy smacking around a hammer because they can't see cursed energy. Anyways, I was wrong. The girl's bringing potential man to a weird Uncle John Bird Kaisen, and now we get another mini flashback where pre-time skip Mario's getting beat on by some high school kids. And Denji's watching all of this thinking how stupid he is for not matching these bozos' energy, because all they have going for them is pride, so you just need to blend in. The level 1 NPC spot Itadori and try to beef with him for not showing Ohio respect, but little did they know that Yuji is a Grandmaster rank, being in bronze lobby, so he bodies them. Aside from Satoru Gojo, of course, I think the Jujutsu Kaisen fans have successfully lobotomized me. One of the goons grabs a metal rod, but then Itadori grabs his face and smashes him into the ground, and roundhouse kicks the other grunt. Now we're back to the present where Itadori pulls up to the cinemas to stare at bro bathing in his suit under a spotlight like a total psycho. After Megumi realizes he got lied to, his Toji cells kicked in and he almost flatlines her right there and then. Ever since he's become the Zenin clan leader, all he's done is abuse women. The will of Naoya truly lives within Megumi. You can take the boy from the clan but not the clan from the boy. He spams his pet dog again to fight Uncle Reggie, and I'm seeing a lot of you Megumi fans acting like he's popping off soon, but in reality he's beefing against a K-Mot receipt checker. John Bird Kaisen has a plan. He wants to cooperate with Megumi because he's not an easy kill, and John Bird Kaisen has a relationship with Kenjaku somehow. He believes the rule stopping people's cursed energy is a bluff because of a lot of stuff that went over my head. Stuff that didn't go over my head is that there's 100 players split into 10 colonies, but most of them are fodder, and there's some exceptions like Kashimo or Higurama in every colony who will weed out all the weaklings, and that Sukuna watching Itadori search Jennifer Lawrence for 100th time of the day is the reason he chose Megumi, and the rest of the explanation insists upon itself. When only the strong remain, Kenjaku will reveal the real purpose for the Culling Games. He then goes into a purple room and speaks in subtitles to the owner of McDonald's, and then a white circle goes on to say, what does that mean? We'll find out in the next episode. Now back to whatever this is. Higurama's asking a bunch of questions like, have you ever done what he's doing right now, or have you heard Jujutsu Kaisen is getting transferred from MAPPA to JC staff? If that's true, then kitten, I'll be honest, daddy's gonna off himself. Higurama's basically having a midlife crisis, so he's doing a lot of things that have stopped mattering to him to see if he's enjoying them still. Not that you care, but he does enjoy bathing in clothes because it reminds him of his childhood. Now Higurama's acting like the average solicitor I came across at work and saying that having a conversation with him will incur a fee of 5k per every 30 minutes. I've seen someone charge an old lady 9 bands to fill out a questionnaire like, bro, just search up a YouTube tutorial on how to do it. What's wrong with you? Being a solicitor seems like a great job prospect right now. Higurama was just joking, bro. Itadori tells Higurama he wants to stop the Culling Games, and then bro's eyes darts towards him like Megumi when he sees the opposite gender and refuses Itadori Itadori's offer. Higurama wants to use the Culling Games to its advantage for dishing out justice. He starts spamming questions and asking Itadori if he's killed anyone who's pissed him off before because it feels great, and Itadori's had enough of the rambling. Man, forget this. He was wasting my time. I'll just run the once with him. I'm ready for any of his attacks. Domain expansion. Wah! I've said it before, but Higurama is one of the greatest prodigies when it comes to sorcerers, aside from Satoru Gojo, of course. Itadori tries to finish off Higurama before his domain fully activates, but it's too late. Once the domain is activated, no one can attack each other because they are having a hearing and Speed is the judge. The subject of the trial is discussing whether Itadori is guilty or not of underage gambling at a casino. Crap, it's another complicated ability. I'll break it down for you. I think I understand most of it. Itadori makes a statement and Higurama makes a rebuttal using evidence, and then Speed makes his verdict in accordance with the law. You can even lie as long as you're smart enough with it. Itadori's pretty smart. He says he went to the casino because he needed to take a dump. But the moment Higurama pulled out a piece of evidence which exposed Itadori was at a nearby ATM to probably get some cash to gamble, he instantly folded. I would have done better. You could have just said you transferred some money out for a separate matter. Speed says Itadori is guilty, so Higurama rushes Itadori and his hammer starts growing to make the beating even more brutal. At what point in law school did they teach Higurama to throw hands like that? The crime was never this serious. Higurama's getting glazed by the narrator while the beatings take place. He was considered a prodigy as a lawyer, but that has nothing on his talent as a Jujutsu sorcerer. I mean, who else do you know that gets a cursed technique with a starter pack domain expansion? Within 12 days of studying his technique, he became on par with a first grade sorcerer. Sometimes you just gotta ask yourself what Itadori did to deserve getting whooped on the Yuta by some of the strongest in the verse 3 times within the same week. Why did Higurama think it was a good idea to pop his ult immediately? Hasn't Itadori gone through enough trauma? Higurama's even perfected the technique he learned from Zenin member 253. He must have practiced on all those curses he slimed, not to mention the 20 players he eliminated. Itadori slides under Higurama and then he extends the hammer again, so Itadori starts sprinting across the wall, so Higurama starts spam throwing mini hammers. When Speed confirmed Itadori was guilty, this punishment made him lose control of his cursed energy. The punishment usually affects people's cursed techniques, but Itadori's special, so it switched to this. It seemed like this fight is one-sided, but Higurama's thinking to himself that Itadori must be part Saiyan because this is not the way a normal human being should be moving. Higurama breaks the thing, so Itadori's forced to do more parkour for him, and he's had enough of this, so he dashed the bathtub at Higurama. But then something inside Higurama snapped as well, so he appears out of the water because you don't mess with a man's bathtub. He hits Itadori with the hammer again, but this time it keeps growing to the point where Itadori is slowly getting crushed, so he needs to think fast and he redeems himself. He asks Higurama for a retrial and it works. I would have been cooked here, to be fair. Better play, Itadori. It turns out if you don't plead guilty, you can request up to 2 retrials. Speed calls out Itadori for murder that he committed in Shibuya, and I wonder what intellectual masterclass he's gonna pull off this time to get out of this mess.
ああ、俺が殺した。
Oh, fair enough. Even Higurama's shocked. I didn't know he had the ability to make other facial expressions. Speed's eyes start bleeding and he gives Itadori the death penalty, and this unlocked the executioner blade. If it touches you, then you die. The downfall of Higurama's mentality is the culmination of all the weaklings he's tried to help by fighting the system because of how empathetic he is, and their ungratefulness towards him led him to believe that everyone is disgusting and ugly deep down. But Itadori turning himself in instantly has woken him up. He wants to know why Itadori admitted guilt when the evidence clearly shows Sukuna killed all those lives. This causes him to falter at the last minute so Itadori can destroy his ribs. We've all seen several people explain to Itadori the kills are not his fault, so I won't waste your time. They conclude that Itadori is still a weak little chud for letting it happen, so Higurama will reclaim his title of the savior of the chuds and give Itadori the 100 points to transfer points between players. Jujutsu Kaisen might genuinely be the best new gen. Not only does it have action, but its writing is so compelling, and I'm tired of elitist gooners pretending like JJK is nothing but fights. It's not the same as Israel leveling. This conversation between Higurama and Itadori expressing their guilt over the people they murdered is beautiful, and so is that OST, and once again, the cinematography. It turns out Higurama slimed of the judge and the prosecutor at Connie's trial, which is a very understandable crash out, but he's gonna turn himself in once the barrier opens up probably, and he's not gonna join Itadori's gang in the meantime, he'll think of something else to do because chilling with Itadori would just make him hate himself even more. I'm pretty sure that just made Itadori even more depressed. I feel you, buddy. It's rough not being rated by the most goated character in the verse. Okay then, like, subscribe and comment something so I can pay my rent, and as always, see you all in the next video.